Hey YouTube, how's it going? So it's that time of the year, like from September to March-ish, when there's not really any new laptops coming out. So I don't do a lot of videos, but I did a thing that I kind of regret, but here we are. So the problem with online shopping is that you can buy things at 11 p.m. when you're halfway asleep already. And so I am the proud winner for $900 of this brand new ASUS XG Mobile 6850M XT, which is the external video card that connects to an ASUS ROG Flow. And this is one of my two personal laptops, almost 2-year-old ASUS ROG Flow X13. So if you want to support my bad decision making, make sure you hit that subscribe button down. So if there's one thing ASUS always does really well, it's packaging. Mostly brand new, but someone did open the box. And it looks like they kind of repackaged the plastic around the XG Mobile here. So inside the box, got XG Mobile. Comes with a nice little informational card, 330-watt power adapter, liquid metal thermal compound, uncompromised direct PCIe link to the CPU, power cable, and a manual. Off. Yeah, so obviously we have our connector right here. This connects to the XG mobile port on the ROG Flow. Plug it in yet. And also it kind of doubles. One of the things that intrigues me about using this setup is it gives you the doubles as a convenience of having a dock. You've got DisplayPort, HDMI, and 4 USB-A ports. It'd be nice if there was at least one USB-C port on here, but you'll have altogether, if you're using this, you're going to have one USB-C port that's open. Well, you might have one that's open. To be honest, I don't know if you have to have the laptop's USB-C charger plugged in if you're using this. That's one of the things we're going to find out. But you are going to have a total of 5 USB-A ports, and of course, along with your HDMI port. That's pretty good, and DisplayPort. So I'm going to plug this baby in, and we'll see what happens. All right, so plugging the XG Mobile in is pretty straightforward. If you haven't lost it, there's a little cover that goes over the port over here. That's a USB-C, and also this direct piece, and also their other kind of proprietary port here. You hit the lock button. There's this little prompt about BitLocker. Sure, it can disable it. Press OK to switch to the XG Mobile. It's even a little walkthrough showing you how to do it. And if you want to eject it, there's a little options down here in your toolbar. The biggest downside so far to this whole setup is it seems like every time you want to activate it or deactivate it, it does require a hard restart of the computer. All right, so the computer's restarted. Pulled up the AMD Radeon software here. We can see it's 6850M is showing up. All right, so we've got the Shadow of the Tomb Raider booted up here. Right off the bat, I'll say the fan on this thing is definitely louder than the fans on the laptop alone, coming in about 54 decibels, and that's just idling the game. Go ahead and run our first benchmark here. I'm sure you can probably hear it coming in over the microphone as well. Yeah, so this is definitely a pretty cool setup. There's really only two reasons I probably wouldn't ditch my current 2 laptop setup and go to something like this. So right now I have my Legion 7 that I use as kind of more like a desktop. Of course, I do sometimes take it places if I want to play games or something like that. And then this guy, which I use for if I'm traveling or if I want to use like a laptop on the couch or something like that. So the biggest downfalls I would say of this switching to just something like this is one, if I do want to go somewhere and play games, if I don't have an external monitor to use, 13.3 inches is just definitely on the small side of an enjoyable gaming experience. And two is you're limited to one 30 millimeter SSD, 2230 in this guy. So that means you only have 1 terabyte of storage, which just isn't enough. Now, you could alleviate the small screen problem, and I'm sure you probably can fit a full-size SSD in the Flow X16 that they have now. But the problem with that is, of course, you're going to be eliminating some of the Ultrabook utility that I like about this laptop. I'll probably pick up a 2022 X13 to review, and we'll compare the 4060 or whatever when I get in it, and with this with the XG Mobile hooked up, just to see how it stacks up, and then sell it. So right off the bat here, the performance is good, but not amazing. See what the looks like. It's probably gonna be like a 115 score. But also, it's important to keep in mind that Shadow of the Tomb Raider is more of a CPU-based game, unless you turn ray tracing on. And this is still only has a 50 watt. What is it? I think it's a 5900. It's only like a 50 watt 5900 H. So definitely not the most powerful, especially stacking it up against like a 6900 or the new 7 series that's going to come out processor. So after this, I will definitely be taking this over to my I'll set it up in my office, hook up to my external monitor, get some more experience using it, see if there's any hijinks or anything, and benchmark a lot more games, put them up here. All right, so we got our results. Of course, this is at 1920 by 1200 with this monitor's native resolution. I think my best 1080p result is like 130 so far. But we'll test it in a lot more games, see what happens.
Alright, so taking a look at Shadow of the Tomb Raider in 1440p at 84 frames, a respectable result, coming close to the 3070 Ti. Far Cry 6 Ultra settings at 1080p, not the best results, but obviously still very playable at 83 frames per second. Bumping it up to 1440p, still not the best results, but playable at 62 frames per second. Although if you might want to go down a step on the settings for a fast-paced shooter game like this. Forza 5, the extreme benchmark, 1080p, 87 frames per second, bumping it up to 1440p, 129 frames per second in medium, and 71 frames per second at extreme, which does have ray tracing, so pretty respectable. And Cyberpunk 2077, 1080p at the ray tracing medium preset, 43 frames per second, coming only slightly below the 3070 in my Legion 5 Pro. Alright, and finally, I'm going to let the Red Dead Redemption benchmark play out at 4x speed here. So I'll definitely be getting the newest generation of the ASUS Flow, which I'm excited for. Obviously, I think a lot of the lower results we saw are part of the fact that it's a 2 generations old Ryzen now, and it's limited to 45, 50 watts. So obviously a new Ryzen 7000 series is going to do quite a bit better. And in addition to that, the newer Ryzen generations also support PCIe Gen 4, meaning whereas the 5 series only supports PCIe Gen 3. So theoretically, that should also provide a small boost to the XG Mobile's performance, allow faster transfer speeds between the processor and the external GPU, theoretically. But that's all I got. If you have any questions, ask them down below. Hopefully, I'm trying to get a RTX 4080 or laptop in here to test, but Best Buy had a couple, but they sold out before I could even... They sold out on pre-order, and they're not even available right now. So, like I say, thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe. All right, I appreciate it.